Bonjour le collectionnaire. It's been a long time, or it's not very often I get a Matchbox car into my collection. For some reason, I just don't like what they do. A lot of them have opening panels, or some of the subjects, I don't know, it's weird. I have like 150 Hot Wheels, but this might be my third Matchbox car. Anyways, as part of this Matchbox France collection, it says 10 of 12, I'm assuming. Maybe. I don't know much about this brand, of course, other than that it's the same parent company as Hot Wheels. So this is the Citroen Ami. I'm probably not pronouncing that correct. And yeah, I saw a YouTube video on this thing. It's actually a quadricycle. It's not a car. So you can be 14 years old in certain parts of Europe and drive this thing around. Essentially, it's a four-wheeled motorbike. Yeah. So, but if it rains, you're not going to get wet. And the Ami name dates back to the early 60s. I don't know if this is the very first one, but this car is so weird and ugly looking. I actually want this to be made in 164. I would buy that. That is so strange looking. But you can actually see a little bit of the headlight detail here in the surrounding detail of this headlight here. So they carried over a little, some styling cues, even from this very first one. Anyways, I'm looking here at the actual website for this car, citroen.co.uk, at least the British version. And so let's take a look at some of these images here. This has a plastic body. It's not painted, it's just raw plastic. This thing is selling for like £8,000 or like $10,000, which is in line with motorbikes. You know, a Super Sport 600cc would cost even more than that nowadays. So but you will get wet on a motorcycle. Okay, so let's see, just cruising through here. 400 liters of load space, that's pretty impressive. 260 liters of storage area, and it can hold 140 kilos. So that's not actually much, especially if you're a fat person. You know, two of me would maximize this this payload. So I'm assuming this includes the drivers, but maybe I'm wrong. There's only 2 seats in this vehicle. Looking at the stats now, this thing is power-wise 6 kilowatts, 9.6 newton meters of torque, lithium battery, charging time around 4 hours, and can go around 47 miles. That seems pretty good. It's just a single speed with a drive, neutral, and reverse. Turns to radius, whatever, discs and drums. Nice, it has disc brakes in front. It's running on 14-inch rims. Maximum speed, though, is only 28 miles per hour. So if you're a really strong cyclist, you can beat this thing in a race. 0 to 28 miles per hour takes 10 seconds. So not a speed demon, but again, it's basically an electric scooter with 4 wheels. So if it rains, you'll be fine. One thing I don't see on this list is the wheelbase. So I do see online that it's 1728 millimeters. So let's measure this thing and see if Matchbox made it to scale, or does it even say the scale on the bottom? No, it does not. Alright, so I'm going to measure these 2 humps here. It looks like the axles are centered around those. So I'm going to guess it's like 31.4. And actually, you know what? Let's just look at the axle ends and see as well. No, maybe that's too long. Maybe 31. Let's go with that. So 1728 divided by 31. Oh, this is 156 scale. It's not remotely close. So this is actually a huge model, even though it's physically very small. So this must be a very small vehicle in real life. Kind of like the length of a bicycle, I'd imagine. Or actually, let me see here. I think in this website, there are the dimensions here. So 2.4 meters long and 1.4 meters wide. I think a road-going bicycle is 2 meters long. So this is a little bit longer than a regular road-going bicycle. Still, pretty funky design. Alright, some interesting questions on this website. Can I wrap it? Yes, you can wrap it. You can use a standard charging port for cars. Which roads can you drive on? Does it roll back on a hill? Yes, it will, because it doesn't have a transmission. Does it creep like an automatic car? No, it does not. If I'm over 6 feet tall, you will fit. 6'6" apparently. Do you have plans to increase the speed? No. Left-hand drive. Can you tow it? That's a good question. Should be on a flatbed. So weight limit, yeah, 140 kilos for the passengers and luggage. That's kind of confusing, right? That doesn't, I guess that probably means the driver, passenger, and luggage. So 140 kilos isn't much, guys. If you're a hefty person, you can't put all your snacks in there. It's either you or the snacks. All right, Eurocap, NCAP, safety rating. It is a quadricycle, so it's basically a death trap. It's no different than riding a motorbike as far as safety goes. Okay, so interesting. I think it looks cool. I think if you lived in a really congested city, it actually makes sense to have one of these, you know, if you never go quick in it. So what Matchbox did here, we seem to have a matte finish gray. This paint is nice, it's not glossy. Starting on the front end, we have the Citroen in the license plate area, looks pretty good. Naturally, the casting's a little rough, being a Mattel product, but the price isn't excessive, so it's fine. And it's nice to see the logos molded and printed, and then it's nice to see printing of the headlights, not just stark white circles. Green light, auto world. And then again on this bump here, I'm assuming these are like turn signals. They're not, this one's better centered than that one, but still, nice little details printed on. The windshield wipers are just molded into the canopy here. The whole canopy seems to be plastic, but it's nice that they're different textures. Smooth, like a canvas kind of texture. Smooth again. I think these are flip-up windows. Okay. Door handle there, and maybe that's a lock, I'm not sure. Or maybe that's a push button to open it. I'm not sure why that's there. Is that a styling element or a window? I'm not sure. Kind of like a mirror, I'm gonna assume. Then the back is actually symmetric to the front. It's just that now instead of headlights we have taillights, and these are better printed back here. Yeah, so there we go. So basically that's one of the ways that Citroen saved on the costs. The front and rear ends are totally symmetric. Even the doors are symmetric, but I'm assuming they just switched the hinges from left to right side of the car, right? So there's that actuator. Yeah, it is a totally mirrored vehicle. This door is identical to that side. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to guess if and when you do wreck this thing, you can replace the panels pretty nice, assuming you're alive. Exposed axles, of course, I'm going to have to look up the wheels and probably 3D print my own. So actually, let's just finish off the bottom here. Made in Thailand, 2021, so, and then obviously it does that. Alright, well there we are with some wheels. They're not exactly identical to the real ones. These flat surfaces I painted here orange are actually thinner on the real one. I revised the CAD file since then if you actually want to buy these off Shapeways. The tire is a separate piece, makes it easier to paint in case you want to change, you know, a slightly different black. That's it. I didn't do anything else. All I did was I clipped off the stock wheels and I reused the axles to mount this one. So, and the diameter of the tire is pretty much the same as the original Matchbox one. So very cool. Here's a picture of the real thing. You can see the orange is a little bit thinner. I guess if you were really careful you could make it thinner, but I was not. This is something called the buggy version, and they had this thing and it sold out immediately. But I think that's cool looking too. So maybe someday, you know, Matchbox will come back and do that, or maybe some other brand would do it. Alright, well, I have two other Citroens. Here's a realistic looking one by Schuco, a 2CV. Yeah. There you go. It's nice that Schuco actually tells you what the car is. 1948 to 1990 this thing was produced in various countries, I think. I put a license plate on the back of that one. And then here's let's see. This is what, I don't even remember what this is called. An E-Mahari. So this is an E-vehicle. And the Mahari name dates back a few decades, but this was relatively recent, 2016 to 19. And Norev is the brand here. So plastic wheels, but the wheels are specific to the actual Mahari. So that's why I like Norev. But it's not true 64, I don't think. Alright, well anyways. I don't know if this brand of car in the real world has ever made a car that you would call mainstream. Like, the styling from Citroen is very unique, I feel. Like, almost most of their vehicles just look very far out there compared to the mainstream cars and the mainstream styling. What do you guys think? Please leave a comment if you want. But that's why I like the brand. You know, it's not mainstream. It's they're not afraid to make weird looking things. I mean, this thing looks like a snail. And then that's just strange looking in itself as well. And this thing is funky looking, but I love it. I really like it. Alright, well anyways, enough rambling on with that. Well, Matchbox, you did a great job, I think, on this one. Sadly, you know, it's a bit out of scale. I don't know if Matchbox, if the brand, the intention is to fit down those Hot Wheels tracks or not. What do you guys think, you veterans to Matchbox collecting? If they're not, I think they should just make 1/64 scale models. Right? In this case, it would have been smaller, would have cost less money to make. But this thing is scaled huge, which is unfortunate. So maybe that's an opportunity for some other brand to come in and actually make this thing in true 64 scale. I'd buy it, even if I have this one. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next Matchbox video. Don't know when that'll be, though.